Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my backyard. I am so excited to be filming out here for the first time this season. I thought that for our first practice outside today, we could do a yoga flow to bring some relief for those of you who sit all day long. So this is really great for those of you who work at a desk, work in an office, or maybe you spend a large part of your day sitting and driving. This is definitely going to give you some relief through your hips, in your legs, as well as in your low back. And then we'll also add some poses that can help encourage a little bit of an opening through our chest and through our shoulders. So we're going to do some poses and flows to help bring a little bit more balance in our body. So suitable for all experience levels, no props are required, and we are going to begin kneeling. So you can just go towards the back of your mat, sitting your hips on your heels, and just bring one hand over the other, close your eyes. And even here, notice if you can roll your shoulders down and away from your ears. Finding that first connection with your breath. You might be able to hear all the birds in my yard. We have a pond here as well, and there's a bunch of frogs right now. Not sure if the microphone can pick that up. But just really giving yourself permission to let go of your day and to orient yourself into this present moment. You can stay kneeling here. I'm just going to walk my hands back behind me and see if you can lift your hips off of your heels to tuck your pelvis under and then sit those hips back down. And you might just walk your hands a couple inches further back, just getting a little bit of a thigh stretch here, while still at the same time trying to open up through your chest. So lifting your heart up towards the sky. Throughout this class, breathe in and out through your nose, sending this breath all the way down to your belly. And you can keep your left hand where it is. We're going to reach that right arm up and over and see if you can lift your hips off of your heels. I'm getting a greater stretch here, leaning back. And release, go to the other side. So right hand down, left arm reaches up and over. Lift those hips up, stretching through your thighs. A little bit of a back bend. And let's release. Let's come forward. Bring your forearms to the mat. We're going to do cat and cow, but with our forearms down. So you might need to readjust yourself so you have your knees underneath your hips. As you inhale, you're going to drop the belly, roll your shoulders back. And as you exhale, round and contract. So keep going here at your own rhythm. Inhale and exhale. One more like this. Inhale. And round and contract. And you can just tuck your toes under, lift your knees off the ground, hovering into our forearm plank just for a breath or two here. Tap in, make that connection with your core. And we'll come into Sphinx Pose. Drop your hips, point your toes back, and lift your chest up. So again here, emphasize rolling your shoulders back, broadening through your heart, pushing into the tops of your feet, pushing into your pubic bone. One more big breath in. And let's release. Press back, tabletop pose, and we're just going to step our right foot forward to the top of the mat, in between your palms, aligning your right knee over your ankle. So getting more into our hip flexors here as well as our hamstrings. We're going to inhale into this low lunge, reaching the arms up. Exhale, you're going to straighten your front leg, flex your foot, and reach your arms back as you fold. So a variation of our half splits. Let's do that flow 3 more times. So inhale, deep lunge. Exhale, send your hips back. 2 more. Last one. Inhale, low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits. And plant your palms to the floor. You're going to kick your right leg all the way back and lift it up so it's at the same level as your right hip. And when you have your balance, you can extend your right leg, or sorry, your right arm up. Maybe you choose to stay here. If you'd like to add on and get a quad stretch, you're going to bend into your right knee, reach back to grab a hold of your foot with your right hand, and see if you can kind of push your foot into the palm. Big breath in here, and cat pose. We'll go do that sequence to the other side. So step your left foot forward between your palms. Align your knee over your ankle. We're going to inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, straighten your left leg, flex your foot, hinge at your hips, and reach your arms back. 3 more like this. Inhale. And exhale. Twice more. See if you can go a little bit deeper, making that breath a little bit longer. Last one. And you can bring your hands down. We're going to lift that back left leg all the way up. And then maybe the left arm also extends up to the sky. You might choose to stay in this first variation, or you can add your bind, reaching for that left foot. Big opening here. Into your cat stretch, release and round. Walk your hands a few inches past your shoulders. Let's find our first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, lifting it up. Stretch all the way back in your downward dog. Create lots of space through your chest, curling your tailbone up towards the sky. And we'll walk our feet forward to the top of the mat for your Ragdoll Fold. Maybe holding onto your elbows if that feels best to you here. Rocking a little side to side. Let go of any tension in your neck and your jaw. Release your hands down, bend your knees, push into your heels to roll all the way up to stand, inch by inch, Tadasana, mountain pose at the top of the mat. So we're going to move into 2 rounds of Hatha Surya Namaskar, so the Hatha-based version of our sun salutations. Feet hip-width distance apart or so here. You're going to inhale, find a back bend, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, step your right foot back, lower your right knee down. Keep your fingertips to the floor. This is your equestrian pose. Really stretch everything out here. And then find downward facing dog. Left foot steps back to meet the right one. Flow into your plank pose, 8-limbed staffed pose, which means we drop our knees down, then the chin and the chest. Flow forward to your cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Step your right foot between your palms, lower your left knee to the mat, so the same low lunge, just on the second side. Open through your heart. And step forward to the top of the mat, so push off of that back leg as you lower. Come all the way up to stand, reach your arms up wide, find that back bend here. Exhale, hands at your heart. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale, back bend, circle the arms. Exhale, fold all the way down. Step your left foot back and lower your left knee down. So finding that equestrian pose, this low lunge. Downward facing dog, right foot steps to the back of the mat. From plank pose, lower your knees, then chest and chin. Back bend into your cobra. Keep your elbows bent. Downward facing dog, use core strength to lift your hips up and back. This time our left foot steps forward to the top of the mat, the back knee comes down, equestrian pose. Go ahead and push off of that back leg to fold forward. Reverse your swan dive so you circle your arms wide and all the way up, leading with your heart, back bend. Exhale to release. Beautiful. So standing at the top of the mat, we're going to work on balance and really working onto our hips and our hamstrings and our low back a little bit more. So from here, you're going to pull your left knee in towards your belly. You might want to grab a hold of the back of your thigh or the front of your left shin. And you can just roll your left ankle a few times, flex and point through your toes, rolling your shoulders back. Now see if you can keep your left knee as high as it is right now, but bring one hand and then the other to your hip. So you're working on strengthening those hip flexors. You can take it one step further. Core is strong, straighten your left leg out in front of you, reach through your heel. Let's bend our left knee and you're just gonna step that left foot back just a couple feet behind you. We're setting ourselves up for a pyramid pose. So my back foot is at a 45-degree angle, my right toes are pointing directly forward. You're gonna reach your left arm up towards the sky. Right now your spine is straight. I want you to maintain this as you start to hinge from the hips until you're about parallel to the ground. Keep trying to pull your right hip back and reach that left arm forward. This is a pose to strengthen your spine, strengthening your back muscles. And then let's stretch into our hamstrings, lower all the way down, and you can bring your hands down wherever they're most comfortable. Just relax your neck. If you need to bend your right knee, that's totally fine. Slow, steady breaths here. And lead with your heart, come up about halfway, hands on your hips, push your feet into the floor to come all the way up. From here, we're gonna come into Garudasana, our eagle pose. So we're balancing on the right leg. You're gonna wrap your left thigh over your right once or twice, looping the toes. With your arms bent out in front of you at a 90-degree angle, wrap your left arm under, also once or twice. Both knees should be bent. Your hips are directly under your shoulders. Slow, steady breaths. You can do this. And release. Circle the arms wide. Inhale. Exhale. Fold forward and down. Halfway lift. Flat back. Exhale, plant your palms, step your feet back to plank pose. We can do traditional chaturanga this time. So you lower and hover halfway, coming into your upward facing dog where your hips are lifted off the mat. Your abdominals, pull your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Stretch it out here in your down dog. And you can look to the top of the mat to step forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale to fold. Press to stand, arms reach up overhead, palms come together. Exhale, hands at your heart. Make sure your feet are still hip width distance. We're gonna do that same sequence on the second side. So this time you're gonna pull that right thigh in towards your belly. Relax your shoulders. And just find a few ankle rolls, flex and point through your toes. Keep your gaze steady here. Try to keep your right knee as high as it is right now as you bring one hand to your hip and then the other hand to your hip. You might choose to stay exactly here, or you can intensify this by straightening your right leg. Working your hip flexors. Bend into your right knee and you're just gonna step that right foot back. We're setting ourselves up for a pyramid pose again. So feet are about hip width distance apart. Reach your right arm up to the sky. Maintain this length as you hinge forward from your hips until you're parallel or so to the mat. If you need to bend your front knee, that's perfectly fine. But what I do want you to focus on is trying to flatten out through your upper back. And then go ahead and fold all the way. Relax your head, relax your neck. Just stretching deeply through the front of that left leg. And we'll lift up about halfway. Bring your hands to your hips. Push your feet into the floor. Inhale. From here to Garudasana, our eagle pose on the second side. So your right thigh is going to wrap around the left. Both knees are bending. You can loop the toes back if you'd like. You're going to swing your right arm underneath the left one, binding once or twice. Try to keep your knees pointing forward. Notice if you're twisting and rotating to the side of your mat. This is the real challenge of this pose. Of course, not the only challenge. This is a really hard pose. So if you're wobbly, don't worry about it. It happens. It's totally normal. Sink a little lower into it. And let's release. Find your vinyasa. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms, step back, lower through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. Stretch it back here. And we'll bring our knees down to the floor, and you can just swing your legs out in front of you. We're going to lower down onto our backs. Let's cross the right ankle over the top of your left knee, flexing through that foot, and then you can reach through with your arms. So pulling your left knee in towards your chest, working on that outer hip and outer glute. Try to slow down your breathing, slow down your heart rate. And give the leg one last squeeze. Keep this figure four shape. Just set your left foot down to the floor. You can open your arms out into a little cactus position and maybe move your hips over to the right as you cross your right thigh over the left one and drop both knees over to the left. So finding a laying spinal twist. This is pretty much the same eagle legs that we were doing in Garudasana pose. A really, truly wonderful pose to do for your low back and for your hips. This is something I would recommend most people to do every single day if you spend a lot of time sitting down. And let's float the knees back up. Uncross your legs. We'll go do this to the second side, starting with reclined pigeon pose. Cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee and pull your right thigh into your belly. Try not to lift head and shoulders off the floor. Stay heavy here. See if you can relax your arms a little more. And let your right foot come back to the floor. Find that little cactus position with your arms. You can move your hips over to the left before wrapping left thigh over your right. Both knees drop to the right. And at the same time, I'm trying to push my left shoulder to the floor, so that I'm not rotating or twisting the upper part of my body. Really targeting our lower back with this. And go ahead and lift your legs back up through center. And before we come to Shavasana, it might feel good to come into Happy Baby first. So holding on to your feet with your hands, stacking your ankles over your knees, trying to press your hips down, tailbone down to the mat. You can always straighten your legs as well here. And very slowly, you can ease your way to Shavasana. This corpse pose is an invitation to fully rest. It's an opportunity to check in with yourself and to process the work that you've done. So try to stay present with yourself, maybe just listening to the birds. And every time you breathe out, see if you can relax your body a little bit more. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. Let's wake ourselves back up, move a little. Maybe stretch your arms up overhead. And we'll all join in a seated position, so you can roll to one side and push your hands into the floor to lift on up. Sitting up nice and tall, close your eyes and bring your hands to your heart, Anjali Mudra. Showing yourself some kindness, some gratitude. I know it's not always easy to carve out time in our schedules for our yoga practice. So really recognize your effort. And let's close with the chant of Om. Inhale to chant, breathe in. Thank you so very much, everyone, for doing this yoga practice for all of us who sit for most of the day. I hope it gave you some relief in your legs, your low back, your shoulders. Leave me a comment before you go and let me know if you like these outdoor classes. They are definitely fun for me, even though the sun is really strong today. All right, thanks again, and hopefully I will practice again with you very soon.